The world has changed a lot. In Smith's day, Smith wrote about a pin factory famously in the introduction to The Wealth of Nations. And really for the 2 centuries that followed, large business was very principally concerned with repetitive linear manufacturing processes, of which making a pin is a rather silly and banal example. But in the end, when you have Ford and General Motors assembly lines, still linear, still repetitive. Business isn't like that anymore. We're talking about a variety of businesses. If we take the great businesses of the world today, we're talking about Amazon and Apple and Microsoft and Google, Alphabet, as it's called itself. And these are all very different kinds of businesses. They're not engaged in repetitive production. The environment in which they're operating constantly changes. They're not engaged in production processes that have large economies of scale. They certainly don't employ a homogeneous labour force of people who are really interchangeable with each other and with many other people who don't work for the firm. And that means a very different structure of the firm. It means that the traditional boundaries, the markets and hierarchies distinction between the firm and what was going outside the firm is no longer relevant. And the idea of the firm as a hierarchical organisation doesn't make sense anymore. Firms are networks, both internally and part of networks that operate outside. And also we have a new form of firm, almost empty firms in the gig economy like Uber or Airbnb that are just providing intermediary services. And that's all they provide. They enable individuals to transact with each other without knowing who these individuals are, but nevertheless having the trust that is necessary if you had to have these kind of services delivered. It's a new world. It requires new kinds of organisation, new ways of thinking about organisations. And I fear the kind of models we're using are still models that are derived from these typical linear manufacturing processes. We're not living in a world dominated by General Motors anymore.